So I'm Dawn, and I'm going to read from the book Witch Baby. The next day, Duck and Darlene were walking through the redwood forest. Witch Baby was following them. Duck, Witch Baby called, do you know that all trees have spirits? Maybe your dad is a tree now. Maybe your dad is a tree or a wave. Duck glanced at Darlene, concerned, then turned to Witch Baby and put his finger on his lips. Let's talk about that later, Witch. Go and play with the twins or something, he said, and kept walking. Duck, why did you go away? Darlene asked, ignoring Witch Baby. What have you been doing with your life? Duck told Darlene about the cottage and his friends. He told her about the slingster cool movies they made, the jamming music they played, and the dream waves they surfed, the love rice fiestas, Chinese moon dragon celebrations, and Jamaican beach parties. You sound very happy, Darlene said. Do you have a girlfriend to take care of you? My friends and I take care of each other, Duck said. We are like a family. That's good, said Darlene. They sound wonderful. The little witch is a little strange, but I really like Dirk. Just then, Witch Baby jumped down on the path in front of Duck and Darlene. She was covered with leaves and grimacing like an angry tree imp. That's good, she said, that you like Dirk, because Duck likes Dirk a lot too, and they love each other more than anyone else in the world, and they even sleep in the same bed with their arms around each other. Which child? Duck tried to grab her arm, but he missed, and she escaped up into the branches of a young redwood. Darlene stood absolutely still. The light through the ferns made her blonde hair turn a soft green. She looked at Duck. What does she mean? Darlene asked, and then she began to cry. She cried and cried. Duck put his arms around her, but no matter what Duck said, Darlene kept crying. She cried the whole way along the redwood path to the car. She cried the whole way back to the house, never saying a word. Mom, Duck said, Mom, please talk to me. Why are you crying so much? I'm still me. I'm still here. Darlene kept crying. Back at the house, Chuck was barbecuing burgers. Dirk and the kids were playing softball. What is it, Darlene? Chuck asked. Darlene just kept crying. Dirk came and stood next to Duck. I'm gay, Duck said suddenly. Chuck and all of Duck's brothers and sisters stared. Even Darlene's sobs quieted. Dirk raised his eyebrows in surprise. Duck's voice had sounded so strong and clear and sure. There was a long silence. Better take a life insurance policy out on you, Chuck said, laughing. The way things are these days. Chuck, Darlene began to sob. You pretend to be so liberal and free and politically correct, and you don't even try to understand, Duck said. We are leaving. Clutch pigs, said Witch Baby. You can't even love your own son just because he loves Dirk. Dirk and Duck are the most slingster cool team. Duck ran into the house to pack his things, and Dirk and Witch Baby followed him.
Hi, my name is Linda, and I'm going to read from the book Heather Has Two Mommies. It's a lot of fun being at Molly's house. Heather builds a big tower out of building blocks and gets all dressed up like a firefighter. She paints two pictures at the easel, one for Mama Jane and one for Mama Kate. She drinks apple juice out of her favorite red cup at lunchtime, and she sleeps in a quiet corner with her favorite blue blanket at nap time. After nap time, everyone sits in a circle and Molly reads them a story. The story is about a little boy whose father is a veterinarian. He takes care of dogs and cats and birds and fish and hamsters when they get sick. My daddy's a doctor too, Juan says, pointing at the book. He takes care of sick people. My daddy's a teacher, David says. Once I went to his school with him. I don't have a daddy, Heather says. She'd never thought about it before. Did everyone except Heather have a daddy? Heather feels sad and begins to cry. Molly picks up Heather and gives her a hug. Not everyone has a daddy, Molly says. You have two mommies. That's pretty special. Miriam doesn't have a daddy either. She has a mommy and a baby sister. That's pretty special too. I don't have any mommies. I have two daddies, Stacy says proudly. I have two daddies too, Joshua says. My mommy and my stepdaddy live in a blue house, and my daddy lives by himself in a yellow house. Let's all draw pictures of our families, Molly says. The children all sit at a big round table, and Molly hands out paper and crayons. This is Juan's picture. Juan has a mommy and a daddy, and a big brother named Carlos. This is Miriam's picture. Miriam's mommy is pushing her baby sister on a swing in the park. Miriam is big enough to swing on swings all by herself. This is Stacy's picture. Stacy's daddies are both tall. Stacy likes to sit in between them on the big red couch in their living room and listen to a story. This is Joshua's picture. Joshua's mommy and stepfather are dropping him off at his daddy's house. Some days Joshua stays with his mommy and his stepfather, and some days he stays with his daddy. This is David's picture. David has a mommy and a daddy and 2 brothers and a sister. No one in David's family looks alike because all the children are adopted. One of David's brothers uses a wheelchair. When the children are finished, Molly hangs up all the pictures and everyone looks at them. It doesn't matter how many mommies or how many daddies your family has, Molly says to the children. It doesn't matter if your family has sisters or brothers or cousins or grandmothers or grandfathers or uncles or aunts. Each family is special. The most important thing about his family is all the people in it love each other.
Hi, my name is Sarah Claire, and I'm from the School of Library and Information Science at Simmons. And the book that I'm going to read from is Go Ask Alice. This is towards the last part of the book. I suspect if I were really mature, I would accept the fact that sooner or later someone is going to start talking about my being picked up, even though it was simply ages ago. And then every nice kid's parents will tell them that they shouldn't spend any time with me because I will ruin their reputation. And every nice kid will wonder what I'm really like inside. And if they hear that I was in a mental hospital, I can just imagine what will go around in their heads and out their mouths. You'd think, with over 900 kids in this school, I could swing from one side to the other, and I can if they'll let me. Oh, I can. Please, let me. Maybe I should really be honest about it and tell Fawn and her parents. Do you think that they would understand, or would it just embarrass us all? I know sooner or later I've just got to tell Fawn about the hospital. She's already asked me about my hands, and I just don't feel decent about lying to her anymore. I wish I knew what to do. If I had someone who knew how to handle these things, I wouldn't have to sit here in my bed and worry you and myself. They could just say right out, you should do this or that. I'm sure Mother and Dad are even more uncertain about these things than I am. They tried to keep it as quiet as possible, and I'm not sure any of their close friends even know what happened. Why is life so difficult? Why can't we just be ourselves and have someone accept us the way we are? Why can't I just be me as I am now and not have to concentrate and fume and get upset about my past and my future? I hate never knowing whether tomorrow I'm going to have Jan and Lane and Marcy and all the rest of my back. Sometimes I wish I had never been born. I wonder what nice Frank would think if he knew about the real inside me. He'd probably run like a scared rabbit or immediately think he could get anything he wanted, and he'd want only one thing. I do wish I could sleep. Yeah. Isn't it weird how sometimes time goes so fast you can't even keep up with it? Like it's been going the last 2 or 3 weeks. Hours and minutes and days and weeks and months merge into one another in a flashing blur. Dad's birthday is today, and tomorrow is mine. 100 years ago, I probably had been married by now and out on a farm somewhere begetting kids. I guess I'm lucky things don't happen quite that quickly these days. But in any case, I've got to start behaving and thinking more like an adult later. Oh, this afternoon I ran out and Dad got a sleeveless sweater. I'm sure he'll like it because he saw something very similar in Mr. Taylor's window and said that it would be just perfect for the office when he doesn't want to wear a coat. Now I just have to finish the poem, and at least I'll have time. I'll have done something right. I wonder if life is as explosive and confusing to other people. I hope not, because I really wouldn't wish this mess on anyone else. I wonder if they'll include my birthday party with Dad's tonight, or if they'll have a separate one later. 2 birthday cakes in 1 week might make enough sick. Everyone's sick. Gee, another birthday. I'll be almost an old woman, at least more than halfway through my teens. It seems only yesterday I was a child.
Hi, I'm Michelle Clunan, and I'm a professor in the School of Library and Information Science, and I'm going to read from a book I absolutely loved in high school for its anti-establishment tone and fun dialogue, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. And I'm going to read from the first chapter. And it was love at first sight. The first time Yossarian saw the chaplain, he fell madly in love with him. Yossarian was in the hospital with a pain in his liver that fell just short of being jaundice. The doctors were puzzled by the fact that it wasn't quite jaundice. The doctors were puzzled by the fact that it wasn't jaundice. If it became jaundice, they could treat it. If it didn't become jaundice and went away, they could discharge him. But this just being short of jaundice all the time confused them. Each morning they came around, 3 brisk and serious men with efficient mouths and inefficient eyes, accompanied by brisk and serious Nurse Duckett, one of the ward nurses who didn't like Yossarian. They read the chart at the foot of the bed and asked impatiently about the pain. They seemed irritated when he told them that it was exactly the same. Still no movement, the full colonel demanded. The doctors exchanged a look when he shook his head. Give him another pill. Nurse Duckett made a note to give Yossarian another pill, and the 4 of them moved along to the next bed. None of the nurses liked Yossarian. Actually, the pain in his liver had gone away, but Yossarian didn't say anything, and the doctors never suspected. They just suspected that he had been moving his bowels and not telling anyone. Yossarian had everything he wanted in the hospital. The food wasn't too bad, and his meals were brought to him in bed. There were extra rations of fresh meat, and during the hot part of the afternoon, he and others were served chilled fruit juice or chilled chocolate milk. Apart from the doctors and the nurses, no one ever disturbed him. For a little while in the morning, he had to censor letters, but he was free after that to spend the rest of each day lying around idly with a clear conscience. He was comfortable in the hospital, and it was easy to stay on because he always ran a temperature of 101. He was even more comfortable than Dunbar, who had kept falling down on his face in order to get his meals brought to him in bed. After he had made up his mind to spend the rest of the war in the hospital, Yossarian wrote letters to everyone he knew that he was in the hospital, but never mentioning why. One day he had a better idea. To everyone he knew, he wrote that he was going on a very dangerous mission. They asked for volunteers. It's very dangerous, but someone has to do it. I'll write you the instant I get back. And he had not written anyone since.
Hi, I'm Melanie Kimball. I'm on the faculty at the School of Library and Information Science, and I would like to read from a book that, along with the other books in the same series, has been on the banned books list for years and years and years and years and years. And this is Alvin Schwartz's Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. There are 2 other books that precede it, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and then this one. All of these are folk tales, and I'm going to read to you his version of a story that he calls The Appointment. A 16-year-old boy worked on his grandfather's horse farm. One morning, he drove a pickup truck into town on an errand. While he was walking along the main street, he saw death. Death beckoned him. The boy drove back to the farm as fast as he could and told his grandfather what had happened. "Give me the truck," he begged. "I'll go to the city. He'll never find me there." His grandfather gave him the truck, and the boy sped away. After he left, his grandfather went into town looking for Death. When he found him, he asked, "Why did you frighten my grandson that way? He's only 16. He's too young to die." "I am sorry about that," said Death. "I did not mean to beckon to him, but I was surprised to see him here. You see, I have an appointment with him this afternoon in the city." So that is Alvin Schwartz's retelling of a rather famous folktale called Appointment in Samara, which, and he has great source notes in the back of this, and then this is what he says about the source. This story is the retelling of an ancient tale that's usually set in Asia. A young man sees Death in the marketplace in Damascus, the capital of Syria. To escape his fate, he either flees to Baghdad or Samarra in what is now Iraq. Death is, of course, waiting for him. In some versions, Death is a woman, not a man. The story has been told in one form or another by Edith Wharton, the English author W. Somerset Maugham, the French writer Jean Cocteau. The American novelist John O'Hara entitled his first book, An Appointment in Samara. So there's, this is usually banned because it has scary stories in it and tales of the occult. But as you can see, it's got some pretty good stories too.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I'm going to be reading from As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. Addie. In the afternoon when school was out, and the last one had left with his little dirty snuffling nose, instead of going home, I would go down the hill to the spring where I could be quiet and hate them. It would be quiet there then, with the water bubbling up and away, and the sun slanting quiet in the trees, and the quiet smelling of damp and rotting leaves and new earth, especially in the early spring, for it was worst then. I could just remember how my father used to say that the reason for living was to get ready to stay dead a long time. And when I would have to look at them day after day, each with his and her secret and selfish thought, and blood strange to each other, blood and strange to each other blood, and strange to mine, and think that this seemed to be the only way I could get ready to stay dead, I would hate my father for having ever planted me. I would look forward to the times when they faulted so I could whip them. When the switch fell, I could feel it upon my flesh. When it welted and ridged, it was my blood that ran, and I would think with each blow of the switch, now you are aware of me. Now I am something in your secret and selfish life, who have marked your blood with my own forever and ever. And so I took ants. I saw him pass the schoolhouse 3 or 4 times before I learned that he was driving 4 miles out of his way to do it. I noticed then how he was beginning to hump, a tall man and young, so that he looked already like a tall bird hunched in the cold weather on the wagon seat. He would pass the schoolhouse, the wagon creaking slow, his head turning slow to watch the door of the schoolhouse as the wagon passed, until he went on around the curve and out of sight. One day I went to the door and stood there when he passed. When he saw me, he looked quickly away and did not look back again. In the early spring, it was worst. Sometimes I thought that I could not bear it, lying in bed at night with the wild geese going north and their honking coming faint and high and wild out of the wild darkness. And during the day, it would seem as though I couldn't wait for the last one to go so I could go down to the spring. And so when I looked up that day and saw Ants standing there in his Sunday clothes, turning his hat round and round in his hands, I said, "If you've got any women folks, why in the world don't they make you get your hair cut?" "I ain't got none," he said. Then he said suddenly, driving his eyes at me like 2 hounds in a strange yard, "That's what I come to see you about." "And make you hold your shoulders up," I said. "You haven't got any, but you've got a house. They tell me you've got a house and a good farm. And you live there alone, doing for yourself, do you?" He just looked at me, turning the hat in his hands. "A new house," I said. "Are you going to get married?" And he said again, holding his eyes to mine, "That's what I come to see you about." Later he told me, "I ain't got no people, so that won't be no worry to you. I don't reckon you can say the same." "No, I have people, in Jefferson." His face fell a little. "Well, I got a little property. I'm four-handed. I got a good, honest name. I know how town folk are, but maybe when they talk to me..." "They might listen," I said. but they'll be hard to talk to. He was watching my face. They're in the cemetery. But you're living kin, he said. They'll be different. Will they, I said. I don't know. I never had any other kind. So I took ants. And when I knew that I had cash, I knew that living was terrible and that this was the answer to it. That was when I learned that words are no good, that words don't ever fit, even when what they are trying to say at. When he was born, I knew that motherhood was invented by someone who had to have a word for it, because the ones that had the children didn't care whether there was a word for it or not. I knew that fear was invented by someone that had never had the fear, pride who never had the pride. I knew that it had been, not that they had dirty noses, but that we had had to use each other by words, like spiders dangling by their mouths from a beam, swinging and twisting and never touching, and that only through the blows of the switch could my blood and their blood flow as one stream. I knew that it had been, not that my aloneness had to be violated over and over each day, but that it had never been violated until cash came, not even by ants in the nights. He had a word too, love he called it. But I had been used to words for a long time, and I knew that that word was like the others, just a shape to fill a lack, that when the right time came, you wouldn't need a word for that any more than for pride or fear. Cash did not need to say it to me, nor I to him, and I would say, let ants use it if he wants to, so that it was ants or love or ants. It didn't matter. I would think that even while I lay with him in the dark and Cash asleep in the cradle within the swing of my hand, I would think that if he were to wake and cry, I would suckle him too. Ants or love, it didn't matter. My aloneness had been violated and then made whole again by the violation. Time, ants, love, what you will, outside the circle.
One thing I don't need is any more apologies. I got sorry greeting me at my front door. You can keep yours. I don't know what to do with them. They don't open doors or bring the sun back. They don't make me happy. Or get morning paper. Didn't nobody stop using my tears to wash cars 'cause of sorry? I'm simply tired of collecting, I didn't know I was so important to you. I'm gonna have to throw some away. I can't get to the clothes in my closet for all the sorries. I'm gonna tack a sign to my door, leave a message by the phone. If you called to say you're sorry, call somebody else. I don't use them anymore. I let sorry, didn't mean to, and how could I know about that? Take a walk down the dark, musty street in Brooklyn. I'm gonna do exactly what I want to, and I won't be sorry for none of it. Let sorry soothe your soul. I'm gonna soothe mine. You're always inconsistent, doing something and then being sorry, beating my heart to death, talking about you sorry. Well, I will not call. I'm not gonna be nice. I will raise my voice and scream and holler and break things and race the engine and tell all your secrets about yourself to your face, and I will list in detail everyone in my wonderful lovers and their ways. I will play Oliver Lake loud, and I won't be sorry for none of it. I loved you on purpose. I was open on purpose. I still crave vulnerability and close talk, and I'm not even sorry about you being sorry. You can carry all the guilt and grime. Don't give it to me. I can't use another sorry. Next time, you should admit you're mean, low down, trifling, and no count straight out, instead of being sorry all the time. Enjoy being yourself.
So I'm Will. I'm a SLIS student. I'm in my final semester here at Simmons. And the book that I'm going to read from today is Catcher in the Rye. I'm going to read kind of two, I guess you could say, linked quotes. They don't follow exactly one next to each other, but I think that they, in terms of the content, it goes together. It has a tremendous impact on me as a youth, as eye-rollingly nauseating as that is. While I was walking up the stairs, though, all of a sudden I thought I was going to puke again, only I didn't. I sat down for a second, and then I felt better. But while I was sitting down, I saw something that drove me crazy. Somebody had written "fuck you" on the wall. It drove me damn near crazy. I thought how Phoebe and all the other little kids would see it, and how they'd wonder what the hell it meant. And then finally some dirty kid would tell them, all cockeyed naturally, what it meant, and how they'd all think about it. Maybe even worry about it for a couple days. I kept wanting to kill whoever had written it. I figured it was some perverty bum that sneaked into school late at night to take a leak or something, and then wrote it on the wall. I kept picturing myself catching him out, and how I'd smash his head on the stone steps till he was good and goddamn dead and bloody. But I knew too I wouldn't have the guts to do it. I knew that. That made me even more depressed. I hardly had the guts to rub it off the wall with my hand, if you want to know the truth. I was afraid some teacher would catch me rubbing it off and would think I'd written it. But I rubbed it out anyway, finally. Then I went to the principal's office. I went down by a different staircase, and I saw another "fuck you" on the wall. I tried to rub it off with my hand again, but this one was scratched on it with a knife or something. It wouldn't come off. It's hopeless anyway. If you had a million years to do it in, you couldn't rub out even half the "fuck you" signs in the world. It's impossible.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I go to Simmons College and I'm a SLIS student in the dual major of Children's Lit and Library Science, and this is my final year. For Banned Books Week, I'll be reading from Speak by Lori Hales Anderson, which is a book I read at 11 years old and still continue to look back on. The light flicks on and the door closes. I am trapped with Andy Evans. He stares at me without talking. He is not as tall as my memories, but he is still loathsome. The light bulb throws shadows under his eyes. He is made out of slabs of stone and gives off a smell that makes me afraid I'll wet my pants. He cracks his knuckles. His hands are enormous. Andy Beast. You have a big mouth, you know it? Rachel blew me off at prom, giving me some bullshit story about how I raped you. You know that's a lie. I never raped anybody. I don't have to. You wanted it just as bad as I did. But your feelings got hurt, so you started spreading lies, and now every girl in school is talking about me like I'm some kind of pervert. You've been spreading that bullshit story for weeks. What's wrong, ugly? You jealous? Can't get a date? The words fall like nails on the floor, hard, pointed. I try to walk around him. He blocks my way. Oh no, you're not going anywhere. You really screwed up things for me. He reaches around and locks the door. Click. Me. Nothing. You are one strange bitch, you know that? A freak. I can't believe anyone listened to you. He grabs my wrists. I try to pull them back and he squeezes so tight it feels like my bones are splintering. He pins me against the closed door. Maya Angelou looks at me. She tells me to make some noise. I open my mouth and take a deep breath. Andy Beast. You're not going to scream. You didn't scream before. You liked it. You're jealous that I took out your friend and not you. I think I know what you want. His mouth is on my face and I twist my head. His lips are wet. His teeth knock against my cheekbone. I pull my arms again and he slams his body against me. I have no legs. My heart wobbles. His teeth are on my neck. The only sound I can make is a whimper. He fumbles to hold both my wrists in one hand. He wants a free hand. I remember. Metal hands, hot knife hands. No. A sound explodes from me. No. I follow the sound, pushing off the wall, pushing Andy Evans off balance, stumbling into the broken sink. He curses and turns, his fist coming. An explosion in my head and blood in my mouth. He hit me. I scream. Why are the walls falling? I'm screaming loud enough to make the whole school crumble. I grab for anything, my pot puree bowl, I throw it at him. It bounces to the floor. My books, he swears again. The door is locked, he grabs me, he pulls me away from the door, one hand over my mouth, one hand around my throat. He leans me against the sink, my fists mean nothing to him. Little rabbit paws thumping harmlessly, his body crushes me. My fingers wave overhead looking for a branch, a limb, something to hang on to. A block of wood, the base of my turkey bone sculpture. I slam it against Maya's poster. I hear a crunch. It doesn't hear. It breathes like a dragon. Its hands leave my throat, attacks my body. I hit the wood against the poster and the mirror under it again. Shards of glass slip down the wall and sink into the sink. It pulls away from me, puzzled. I reach in and wrap my fingers around a triangle of glass. I hold it to Andy Evans' neck. He freezes. I push hard enough to raise one drop of blood. He raises his hand over his head. My hand quivers. I want to insert the glass all the way through his throat. I want to hear him scream. I look up. I see the stubble on his chin, a fleck of white in the corner of his mouth. His lips are paralyzed. He cannot speak. That's good enough. Me. I said no.
My name is Will, and I am a SLIS student here at Simmons, and I'm in my final semester. The book I'm going to read from is In the Night Kitchen by Maurice Sendak. I remember being read this as a kid, and when I ended up hearing that this was like one of the more banned books, I was really shocked and surprised, because this was like a pretty fundamental part of my childhood. Yeah, so I'll try to read it just like my parents and loved ones tried to read it to me. So, here's where we're starting. What's all the fuss? I'm Mickey the pilot. I give milk the Mickey way. And he grabbed the cup as he flew up. See him flying up. And up, and over the top of the Milky Way in the night kitchen. See him there. Mickey the milkman dived down to the bottom singing, I'm in the milk and the milk's in me. God bless milk and God bless me. Then he swam to the top, pouring milk from his cup into the batter below, so the bakers they mixed it and beat it and baked it. Milk in the batter, we bake cake and nothing's the matter. Now Mickey in the night kitchen cried, cock-a-doodle-doo, and slid down the slide. Whew. You can see him yawning there. Straight into bed, cake-free and dried. And that's why, thanks to Mickey, we have cake every morning.